Yeah, but you're... Hej och välkomna tillbaka. Nu ska vi åka upp till rymden och vi ska göra det och blicka ner här genom satelliter kanske. Och det är dags att få veta mer om den satellitnätverksoperatörrbranschen som nästa bolag ska berätta om. Och det är Wyld Networks, and I'm very happy to introduce the CEO Alastair Williamson. So happy to have you here and looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Alastair Williamson, and I'm the CEO of Wyld Networks. So I just want to take you through a brief presentation of Wyld Networks, what we do, why it's important, and what is the business. So Wyld is a satellite network operator. What we do is we allow our customers to connect their Internet of Things devices and sensors directly to satellites so they can transfer the data to satellites, and then we transfer the data from the satellites to the ground station. So why are we doing this? Well, the problem is that only 15% of the world's surface has got access to wireless networks, so access to the internet. The other 85% has got no wireless coverage at all. And a lot of people companies that are deploying Internet of Things devices are deploying those devices and sensors into that 85% of the world's surface where there's no access to the internet. And we solve that problem. And it's this lack of global connectivity that's holding back the growth of the Internet of Things. It's basically holding back growth of about $2 to $3 trillion to global GDP in the next 10 years. So at Wyld, we developed a solution called Wyld Connect. And as I say, it's an affordable wireless solution that allows our customers to connect their IoT sensors and devices directly to low Earth orbiting satellites so we can provide 100% coverage across the globe. So what's the value to the customers? Obviously, the obvious value to our customers is that currently, they can only connect their IoT devices in that 15% of the world's surface where there's wireless networks. What we offer them is the capability to connect all of those IoT devices and sensors anywhere in the world. What differentiates us is that we are fairly unique in that we've developed a low-cost satellite solution. So we make our solution affordable to our customers. So it's a low-cost satellite terminal, and also we use what's termed as unlicensed spectrum. So it's free to use spectrum. So we don't actually need to pay for the spectrum to actually run the whole system. And the business model is relatively simple to explain. So there's two parts to our offer. There's the hardware, which is the satellite terminal, which is a one-off fee. And then there's the service fee. So our customers pay us every month a certain number of dollars to actually use the service. So it's a bit like a mobile network where you pay for your mobile phone, and then every month you pay a fee to your mobile provider to use the service. That's where our reoccurring revenue comes from. So the markets we're looking at are really verticals and companies that are in that 85% of the world's surface where there's no connectivity today. So that's in transportation, that's in maritime, that's in agriculture, the environment, and in industry. So currently where we are, we're in the commercial test phase. So we're testing the solution with a significant number of customers, about 18 customers we're testing the solution with. Customers like Bayer and Chevron, companies that have got market caps in excess of $300 billion US. The service is going to be launched in the second part of this year. And we're really now doing our testing with our customers, but we're also now starting to collect purchase orders ahead of launching the service. So just to explain a bit more about the products and the solution. So as I said, there's two components to our product. So there's the terminal that connects to sensors, and our terminal delivers the data to the satellites. And then on the ground side, we have Wyld Fusion, which is the platform that allows our customers to collect the data and obviously pay for that data, which is a monthly fee. So if you look at the solution, a satellite will pass overhead. There's currently 3 up there at the moment. There will be 24. And satellite passes overhead. When our sensor, our terminal, recognizes the satellite is overhead, it will collect data from the sensor, send it to the satellite, and when the satellite stores that data, and when it's above a ground station, it delivers the data back down to ground. It's then forwarded to Wyld Fusion, our payment platform, that allows the customers to collect that data and also pay for that data. So I just want to give you a sort of an idea of the size of the market. And I talked about the areas we're working in. It's agriculture, the environment, energy, maritime, and supply chain. And the size of the market is astronomical. The research is pointing to this market having started in 2021. So satellite IoT becoming a solution that's viable for consumers and for customers to use in 2021. And it's forecast to grow to about $5.9 billion by 2025. So that's a rapid growth. That's a growth of 40% each year. And if I just want to give you some examples of some of the use cases. So in agriculture, soil moisture sensors are deployed in fields to look at how much water is in the field to improve the production of crop and also reduce the amount of water that's wasted. In the environment, we're looking at air quality sensors. So all that data needs to be transmitted back to the customers so they can do something about it. In energy, they're looking at corrosion in oil pipes to reduce spillage of oil. In maritime and supply chain, they're looking at how they can track containers all over the world. They want to make sure that perishable goods arrive without being destroyed. So we're looking at collecting information on temperature and humidity inside containers. I'm just going to go through 3 more use cases. As I talked about soil moisture. So in agriculture, one use case is soil moisture sensors. They deploy these sensors into fields to actually have a look at how much water content is in that field. Now, as you all know, the world's population is exploding. We're going to add another 2 billion people by 2050. So today we struggle to feed ourselves. So technology is being deployed in agriculture, and that technology is really there to help growers and farmers increase their yield of production, so increase their crop yield, and also reduce the amount of water that's wasted in agriculture. So basically, with the solution that's been put out, there are reports, and we've demonstrated that this technology can increase the production of crops by up to 37%, and also we can reduce the amount of water that's wasted in agriculture by up to 30%. Another use case is in the energy sector, and that's looking at sensors that are looking at corrosion within oil pipes. Now, in 2010, British Petroleum, BP, paid about $60 billion in fines and cleanup costs after an oil spillage. Now, what the energy sector is doing now is preventative maintenance. So they're deploying sensors all over their assets, and in respect to pipelines, they're looking at corrosion. So they want data from their pipelines to look at the corrosion in the pipelines to ensure they can fix the problems before they become an oil spillage. So that's all about how do we improve productivity and how do we reduce the amount of damage that potentially the energy sector can do. And the third use case, and I say there are thousands of use cases, but the third use case is tracking assets in the supply chain. I talked about, how do we track containers? Because they've got very expensive goods in them. Some of them are perishable goods. How do you make sure the temperature and humidity remains the same so those goods are actually not damaged by the time they get to their port? So we formed a consortium with Eutelsat, who's the second largest satellite operator by revenue in the world. The other partners in the consortium is Senet. Senet is the largest terrestrial LoRa network operator in the US. And there's ourselves, Wyld, and Track-Assure. And Track-Assure actually developed the IoT sensors that fit onto containers. So if we look at the supply chain, you know, up to $30 billion is lost every year through containers being lost. And that, obviously, the majority of that cost is the contents of those containers. So our solution allows our customers to be able to track all of their assets within the supply chain from basically from the farm to the fork. So we're actually tracking everything and ensuring that all of those goods are delivered, or we're providing data to our customers that allows them to ensure all of those goods are delivered on time and at a good quality. So, as I said, we've been signing up launch partners. You know, we're launching the network in the second half of this year. So we've signed up about 18 customers, and there's a slide here with the names of all the customers that we've signed up. And they are our launch partners. And currently today, what they're doing is they're actually piloting and testing the solution ahead of the actual commercial launch later on this year. So some of those customers are very big customers. As I said, just the Chevron and the Bayers and the Fujitsus, these are companies with a market cap of over $300 billion US. So we're working with companies that are in the agricultural, transportation, energy, supply chain market, because they've all got assets that are in that 85% of the world's surface where there's no connectivity. And so we're providing the solution that allows them to deploy technology to help them run more efficient businesses. And so far, with our launch partners, we're now converting our launch partners as they go through the test program into paying customers. So we're now collecting purchase orders. And we're collecting these purchase orders ahead of actually delivering the service, because we want to get our equipment out into the field so when the service is up and running, the data is going to be flowing and we're going to be collecting revenue in that data. So we've got purchase orders from Bayer, Eutelsat. There's a few other I've listed on this slide. But also last week we received a purchase order for about 17 million SEK. And that, to give you an idea, was for that they've bought about 40,000 terminals, so the hardware piece. So that's about 40,000 terminals, but that 17 million doesn't actually include the data, which they will then start to pay for, which will be about $5 a month for every single one of those 40,000 devices we've sold to them. So that's about $200,000 a month, or 2 million SEK a month just in reoccurring revenue. And that's a relatively small order. We believe the size of the market for terminals is about 30 million devices. So we're going after a large chunk of those 30 million devices, which is a one-off hardware fee plus the $5 per month per device moving forward to actually use the service. So in summary, we're solving a real-world problem. You know, we're providing global connectivity for the Internet of Things. We're providing solutions and product that basically fixes issues in agriculture, in the environment, in supply chain, in maritime, and in logistics. We're launching the commercial service second half of this year, but we're actually now collecting orders from our customers ahead of launching the service. And as I said, the business model is relatively simple. There's a hardware fee for the terminals, and then there's a monthly fee of about $5 a month for every single terminal that's deployed. And that's where we get our reoccurring revenues in our business model. We've signed agreements with customers. As I say, we're securing purchase orders already ahead of our launch. The patent's been filed, and it's a significant market. If we look at the size of the market, analysts are quoting numbers of about $5.9 billion US by 2025. So $5.9 billion is a big market, but if you look at the market that we're going after, so Wyld itself with our satellite solution, we envisage the size of that market to be about 670 million US dollars by 2025. So that's the piece that we're actively going after. So I'd just like to say a couple of things about what's happening at the moment. We listed the company last year in July the 2nd. Our share price, I believe, started about 10 SEK, and I think we're somewhere in the region of about 17 to 18 SEK at the moment. So we've had a good start to the year for the 6 months. We're going through a warrant period at the moment, so we issued warrants, Tier 1 warrants, with every share that we offered to the market at the IPO. We're in the measurement period of the warrants, and in the next 2 weeks, between the 22nd and the 4th of April, is actually the subscription period for the warrants. So I really encourage everyone to have a look at our website. We welcome as many investors as possible, and I'd just like to sort of say to the existing shareholders, please be aware your warrants are basically up for subscription between the 22nd of March and the 4th of April. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
You seem to be operating quite an adventurous and exciting business. Can you share with us some of the most dramatic events that you've come across?
Absolutely. As I say, we're solving real world problems. And what the great thing about this business is that we are contributing to supporting the environment, supporting sustainability, speaking with the United Nations in how we can help put sensors into the sea to measure plastic, to actually try and do something that's a positive thing for this world. That said, we're still a business, and we will be rolling out the service towards the second half of this year.
Yeah. Is it also a risky business? What do you estimate to be the biggest risks?
It's not really a risky business.
Okay.
These satellites are low Earth orbiting satellites, so they're about the size of a shoebox. They're not large satellites, and they get projected into orbit at about 700 kilometers up in the sky. So they're a fairly low cost and fairly revolutionary type of new satellite solution. So there's no real risk in respect to the technology.
Okay. Are there any business risks that you would like to mention? I mean,
to be honest with you,
your customers or something?
Our customers are very, very large customers in the energy space, in the agricultural space, in the transportation space. So they're large conglomerates. And I think to point to the positive aspect is that we're already receiving purchase orders actually ahead of launching the service. So that's the really positive thing.
Are those orders signed and to be delivered? Or?
Signed and to be delivered.
Okay, for how much?
I think we've got about, in order backlog, we've got about 18 million SEK in order backlog to start shipping. Okay. But obviously we're going to get a lot more purchase orders as the testing is completed, which is happening right now.
And what which niche are those customers working in? Agriculture,
energy, and supply chain.
Okay, so all of those. It may be a bit hard to foresee, I'm sure, but is the current war in Ukraine, and is it affecting you in any way, would you say, or will it be affecting you?
It's not affecting us in any way at all.
Or your market.
Or our market. What I would say is that Ukraine is a big producer of agricultural crop. And so my expectations are that our technology is going to get rolled out even faster as we try and figure out how to grow more crop using technology.
And you talk about the need to increase the yield of agriculture, but I guess it's also important to increase the level of resilience.
Yes.
Also as an effect of the war, maybe. Is this something that you can see, and will that affect your business in any way? that
I think positively in
to
respect
protect
that
from dryness and from
yeah, absolutely. The sensors that are deployed in agriculture basically look at the water content in the soil and optimizes it, so it gives the farmers and growers information that allows them to optimize the amount of water they're using in irrigation, so they're not wasting water, but they're optimizing the growth of their crops. And I think this is going to become even more important as the population explodes. Another 2 billion people on this planet by 2050, and we struggle to feed ourselves today.
You said that you have a low-cost solution. Can you say, how did you manage to cut costs? And I mean, is there something that your solutions are lacking compared to more pricey solutions?
So what we've addressed the cost from two perspectives. We use a technology called LoRa, which is a low-power technology. So our devices can go into the field and they're powered by battery. They can last for 2 to 5 years in the field, so we don't need electricity to power those units.
Okay.
And secondly, we're using what's called unlicensed but regulated spectrum to transmit the data to the satellite. So we don't actually have to pay every single government in the world to use that frequency or that spectrum. It's free to use spectrum. So
Okay.
in essence, we've taken a lot of the cost out of the service compared to other people to make it affordable for our customers.
Does that make it less reliable, or?
No, not at all. That's really what our technology has solved is any of the issues that come up of using unlicensed but regulated spectrum.
Okay. We have a question from the audience a bit connected to this, and the question was, is your niche to be a bit more affordable than your competitors? Or what is your niche?
Our niche is to be affordable, which is very, very important. But it's more than just being affordable. It's offering that connectivity solution anywhere in the world. So in hard-to-reach areas, you can deploy a sensor and send that data to a satellite and collect that data. Whereas traditionally what people have done is they've actually sent people out to those sensors to go and collect the data, and then they come back with that data. That data is usually old and of no use by the time they've collected that data.
Okay, but now with Internet of Things, it's much faster.
It's much faster.
Okay, thank you. Other question from the audience. When do you expect your patent applications to be confirmed?
It's going through the process right now.
Okay.
So we've submitted it and we've gone through the internationalization stage, and we're now going to the nationalization stage, which is basically country by country. So it's just going through the standard process that everyone has to go through in filing patents.
So you're not worried that it won't come through, or?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
And we're already protected because we actually have made the filing already.
You mentioned that you are in the commercial test phase with
Yes.
18 customers. The second part of this year
Is the launch, yeah.
is the launch. How will you start the rollout? What will you see from you first?
With these 18 customers, so 5 of them are doing the first round of testing, which is happening now, and then the others will do their testing in a couple of months' time. So once that testing is completed, we'll then be collecting orders for them, and then we'll start to ship our equipment to them, and then in the second half of this year, they'll be able to use that equipment to collect data from anywhere in the world and then use that data to improve their productivity. So you'll see a big launch coming up, not just launching the service, but we'll also be launching the hardware solution ahead of the launch.
And do you have a lot of colleagues or competitors with you? How can you say about the competitors?
We have competitors, which is good, by the way. Competition is good. Those competitors have a similar type of solution, but they're using regulated and very expensive spectrum. So they have to take that cost and pass that cost on to their customers. So once again, where we come from is low power, affordable satellite IoT.
you seem to be quite confident that you have the customers, you said, in your hand more or less. But can you tell us a bit about your marketing strategies and how will you reach new customers? Because
so absolutely. So in certain territories, we have our own sales team. In other territories, we're using resellers. So these resellers already have a network of customers, and they're the same people that will be buying equipment from us. So we're going direct to the large conglomerates, the likes of Chevron, massive company, the likes of Bayer, massive company. We're going direct. But we're also using resellers to go to the next level of customers, which obviously will be a larger number of customers compared to the customers we're going directly to.
Okay. And the average order, would you say, how big is it?
Well, the last order we received was the 17 million SEK, which was for about 40,000 devices. So we expect larger orders than that moving forward, because as I said, we think the size of the market is about 30 million devices.
Okay, so the rollout is later this year. So where will you be in, say, like 2 years?
We'll have a complete satellite IoT network. I think I gave you my view on what the Wyld market size is. We believe it's about 670 million by 2025. So that's the market that we believe Wyld can address.
And what is the biggest challenge in that, and your biggest advantage?
I think the biggest challenge is making sure that we have sufficient sales resource to ensure that we can capture not just the large customers, but getting our distributors and resellers addressing a lot of the other smaller, but the vast number of other customers. So that's one challenge we're working to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, and good luck with all that. So thank you so much. So Mr. Satellite here, warm applause for Mr. Alastair Williamson.
Thank you.